Hi, I'm Sam. I was diagnosed with eosinophilic esophagitis about a month ago. I've had a month so far to process through it. I'd never heard of this before. And then I ended up in the hospital and I had an endoscopy and a biopsy and found out that I have eosinophilic esophagitis, or EoE for short. EoE is, from my understanding, EoE is a type of allergic reaction, whether it is to food, or it could be to food, environment, stress, whatever, what have you. But essentially, something is going on in your body where you are producing excessive white blood cells in your esophagus. And these white blood cells, I don't know, maybe it's like an allergic response / possibly an autoimmune type response. But basically, though, it creates these hardened sections in your esophagus, and if left untreated, it can cause scarring, and your esophagus can get smaller and smaller, and it makes it difficult to swallow. And it seems like you can have flare-ups. Of course, that makes sense if it's an allergic reaction to something. So during a flare-up, it can be very difficult to swallow, even something tiny, even liquid or your own spit. So that's been very interesting. And I've tried to dive in to various communities on Facebook and Reddit and just learn as much as I can about this. And like a lot of things, this is seems to be very connected to other allergy issues. It also seems to be very connected to other autoimmune things, and there's a word that I can't pronounce, dysautonomia or something like that. It all seems to be connected. I have had off and on trouble swallowing for the past, 5 or 6 years or so. And I never brought it up to the doctor before. Mostly it was small things. I've never had anything stay stuck. But rice and bread were issues that I would have, where I would swallow and I could just feel it, it's just a lump stuck. Usually some warm water, getting up and walking around, warm water, or sometimes I'd have to go to a soda. But I usually could get it to push through. I could literally feel it unclog and go through. Usually half an hour was the longest. But then, so a little over a month ago, I had it happen again with rice. I made a lovely, our go-to easy chicken and rice dinner. And that time, was it chicken and rice? Actually, I don't remember. I may have done some kind of mushroom, chicken and cream of mushroom soup. Rice and cream of mushroom soup and chicken. I don't know. Either way, it was rice. There was rice involved. I'm pretty sure there was rice and chicken involved. But that time, it was an hour. I don't know. It took a lot longer than I thought that it normally doesn't take that long. But I did finally get it to go through. And then I didn't eat after that. I think I made myself a smoothie. And I started doing some Googling, and I did see stuff about EoE. I learned a little bit about EoE. And I thought in my head, oh, that's something I should bring up to my doctor. Because that's very interesting. And when I had brought up like swallowing problems before, I was told that it could be heartburn and to take some heartburn medicine. But I wasn't really directed with what to take. And I felt like I was just being brushed off, I guess, in a way. So I wasn't taking any heartburn medicine. But then, like I said, that rice situation happened again. I mean, it's happened before, but this time it was longer. So I had it in my head. I was like, okay, I should bring it up to my doctor again and try to get it figured out. Well, then, like a week or two, I don't know, a week and a half or so later, I ate a chicken sandwich from Chick-fil-A. It was a free chicken sandwich. And within the first bite, it got stuck. Again, in my mind, I was like, this sucks, but it happens. So I get up, I go to my kitchen, I walk around, I get some hot water, try to push it down, and it wasn't budging. Tried soda, went back and forth between hot water and soda, moved around. 2 hours later, it was still stuck. I've never had anything be stuck that long. So at that point, I told my husband that I probably should go to the hospital because I didn't think that I was going to be able to get it out. I mean, it's been 2 hours, going on 3 hours. I don't know. It was at least 2 hours. And it didn't feel like it was budging. I was getting to a point where I couldn't actually swallow. I couldn't even swallow my own spit. The only time I was able to get relief was when I would drink soda and the bubbles would force all of my spit and liquid to come out. I couldn't actually swallow anything. So we went to the hospital and they tried whatever. I got some sort of medicine in my IV. I got some sort of a medicine to relax my esophagus in hopes that it would relax enough to allow it to pass. And then after that, had some time to go through my body. I don't know. Then they tried a soda. It didn't work. It came, all the fluid just came straight back up. So then, by then, I don't know. I ate the sandwich at like 2 or 2:30. By the time we knew that the food was still stuck, it was like 9 o'clock at night when they told me that we had to do an emergency endoscopy and either pull it out or push it through. So this was the first time I ever had an endoscopy. Not the best situation. But anyway, so hospital stuff, so it took some time. By midnight, I was getting ready and I had my procedure. And they got the chicken out. They pushed it through. No, I guess it broke in half or something. They pushed part of it through and they pulled part of it out. And then it was no longer stuck. Thank goodness. But the GI doctor said that he wanted to take some biopsies while he was in there because what I was describing sounded like it could be EoE. So we wanted to take some biopsies to rule it out. So then a few days later, I got the results back and it said that I had, I don't remember the number, 39 eosinophils per whatever the number is. And I guess you're not supposed to have more than one. So yeah, I started doing even more research. Also in that time, I had been told, like the first few days after the biopsy, because the food was stuck, I was told to just have like very soft foods, slowly reincorporate foods back in, but soft, like liquid or soft foods. So it was like the second night, I had some ice cream. And throughout the day, that day, I was having like protein drinks, dairy protein drinks. And then by that night, I was in horrible pain. I had like terrible chest pains and the worst heartburn, and swallowing was so difficult. I knew there was no food stuck in there because I didn't eat any actual food, nothing to be stuck, but I was having trouble swallowing. So I would rather spit than swallow, and just like couldn't be comfortable, couldn't sit still because I was just so uncomfortable and it hurt. And the only thing basically the only thing I had that day was dairy-based things. So basically after the second day, I realized that milk is, or at least dairy, is definitely the trigger for me. So I knew then from there, I didn't have any actual guidance yet, but based on the research that I had done, I knew that an elimination diet was the way a lot of people get help through an elimination diet. So I knew from then that I was like, okay, I definitely have to eliminate dairy. And it turns out that dairy is like the top cause as far as an allergy or an allergic response. Dairy is the main one. And yeah, so I decided to do that. And then I've just been slowly adding foods back into my diet. But I also thought it would be safe to stay away from gluten as well, or wheat, but just, I guess, gluten, basically. Because those two, dairy and gluten, are the two top causes or reactions. And then throughout, as I was adding food back into my diet, I had a food log with me so I could keep track of. I wrote down everything. Anytime I tried something new, well, it wasn't new, but new sense the situation. Anytime I would try something, I would write it down and then kind of like gauge my reaction. And it was very interesting to see I had different reactions to things. So it's such a mess to go through. It's so difficult. And by some of the, in the various forums that I've been reading people's comments and stuff, it's difficult because the allergy is different per person. So it's just very interesting. Yeah, this ended up going a lot longer or different than I expected. I don't know how much of this I will end up clipping and cutting, but I wanted to start kind of documenting my journey, I guess, in a way, because I didn't know about this up until like a month ago. And it can feel very lonely. Like, I know there's forums and stuff, there's loads of people, there's people out there. But when it comes to anything with eating can be such a social thing. Now, just simple things like going to the movie with my daughter, and now I have to be cautious, and I don't know if I can have the movie popcorn because of the butter added to it. Or I can't have like a pretzel and cheese like we would get sometimes to share. Or if I have friends who want to go out, like I just have to be so careful. And I think that for anybody else experiencing, whether it's this, EoE as well, a new diagnosis, or just any sort of a food intolerance or allergy or anything that you're going through, I just thought that maybe it could be helpful to kind of document things so that other people know that they're not alone.